Welcome to the Healing Circle. I'm Christine, founder of Embodied Energy Wellness, a shamanic energy practitioner and soul guide. This is a space for honest conversations about healing, awakening, and the moments that shape us. We all carry a story, and this is a place where those stories can be shared, witnessed, and gently healed, together in community. This isn't about fixing yourself, it's about remembering yourself. Take a deep breath. You're very welcome here. Just a gentle note before we begin, some topics discussed in this episode may touch on trauma, loss, or sensitive life experiences. Please take care of yourself as you listen and engage in a way that feels supportive.
Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to the Healing Circle. I'm your host, Christine Higgins, and today I want to talk about something that so many people experience but often struggle to explain. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt uncomfortable, even though no one has said a word? Or have you ever spent time with someone who's told you they were fine, but you know deep down they're not? Or perhaps you've just left a social gathering completely exhausted, drained, and despite nothing particularly stressful happening, you're just energetically on the floor. If so, this episode is for you. Today, we're exploring how sensitive people absorb unspoken energy, why it happens, and most importantly, how to navigate the world without carrying everyone else's emotional baggage. Now, when I say sensitivity, I'm not talking about weakness, and I'm most certainly not talking about being overly emotional. I'm talking about true sensitivity, the ability to feel, sense, and pick up on things that often go unnoticed by others. For many years, I misunderstood this about myself. For example, I remember an old friend, a particularly time when I was hurt by someone, and my friend turned around saying, "Do you know what's wrong with you, Christine? You're too sensitive for this world." And when she said that to me, I just accepted it as truth. I carried those words with me for years and began to believe that there was something wrong with me. And I remember feeling that despair because I kept questioning myself, going, does that mean I have to be mean to other people? Because I remember when I was about 10 or 11 years of age, I used to always say, I'm going to treat others how I want to be treated. Now, I can pinpoint that right at that moment, I became a doormat because I didn't have healthy boundaries and protection to help me not absorb other people's energy. But when I look back at little old me, obviously I was operating from the heart chakra all of the time. It was only as I migrated through life that I had to step into survival and close my heart to many. So I used to always ask myself, why did I feel things so deeply? Like, what's wrong with me? Why would I walk into a room and instantly sense when something wasn't right? And why did I seem to notice that things that other people just didn't see? For a long time, I thought sensitivity was something I needed to fix in me. And I toughened up. I tried to ignore what I felt, particularly around people, suppressing my emotions, afraid to tell people how I really feel or, what the energy I was getting off them for fear of hurting their feelings. But the more I ignored the messages, the sensitivity, the louder it seemed to become. And what I've come to realize is that sensitivity wasn't a problem. The problem was that I didn't understand it. I didn't understand that what I was experiencing wasn't weakness. It wasn't me being over emotional, and it certainly wasn't me imagining things. What I now understand is that many sensitive people are constantly picking up information that exists beyond words. They're reading the energy of the room. They're noticing the subtle changes in people's behavior. They're sensing emotions that haven't yet been spoken. And they're receiving information through their intuition without even realizing it. And because nobody is teaching us this growing up, many of us assume there's something wrong with us. Like there is no manual when you're born into this world to say, oh, by the way, Here's your Clair gifts. Here's what you do when you're feeling energy. Here's how you protect your energy. Here's how you release the energy. There's no manual. So here's a question for you. What if your sensitivity is actually one of your greatest gifts? What if your very thing you've spent years trying to suppress is actually one of your natural strengths? So today I want to explore that possibility with you. I want to talk to you about why sensitive people absorb unspoken energy, how our intuition communicates to us through what are often called our Clair gifts, and how learning to understand these gifts can completely change the way you see yourself. I remember, in my party days, I would always be drawn to a certain group of people, and it would be late night chats. The emotions would be going around. People would be literally pouring out their darkest secrets to me. And I used to walk away and say, how do they must feel safe in my energy to be able to open up. And it's only now, I'm 45 years of age, and I'm an energy healer, shamanic counselor, that those gifts that I was honing on back in my party days in my late teens, 20s, 30s, were actually me fine-tuning my gift, even though it was in sessions, but we had great chats and great nights. But when you look back, you can see it was already happening before I actually realized what I was doing. I was always going to be the shamanic counselor because people were naturally feeling safe in my company and they were naturally opening up. So many people assume Clair gifts are only for psychics or mediums, but in my experience, teaching intuitive energy healing, most people already using at least one of them unconsciously. Clair gifts is, in simple way of putting it, is Clair means clear in French. So clear gifts. And many highly sensitive people don't even realize they may already be using these intuitive abilities every single day. So why do sensitive people pick up more? So they often have a more finely tuned awareness of their environment. Their nervous system notices subtle changes in energy, emotions, body language, tone of voice, and atmosphere before their conscious mind even catches up. But because of this, they may dismiss their intuitive experiences as, I'm just imagining things. I'm probably overthinking. I'm too sensitive. When in reality, they may be receiving information through one of their natural Clair gifts. I used to, in my classes, when I'm teaching intuitive energy healing, I would ask anyone to put up their hand where they had an experience where they were walking across the road and something told them, stop, and then a car flies by. At least 90% of the students put up their hand and say, oh yeah, that's happened to me before. Think back to a time when you suddenly got this knowing to stop or to walk or mind something was going to fall. Think back of all those times where you intuitively listened to that inner voice and then you stood back and went, oh God, that could have happened, that accident or spillage, etc., etc. That is your Clair gifts. And everyone has Clair gifts. It just depends how strong they are. So mediums and psychics, their gifts are strong. They're fairly developed. But we all have access to every single one of the Clair gifts. It's like a volume dial. The more you're in the space, you're meditating, you're increasing your vibration, your frequency, the dial turns up. So your intuition turns up and your gifts turn up. But if you're not looking after your physical body, your emotional body, you're not looking after your mental body, your spiritual body, and you're not doing things that increase your vibration, the volume dial goes down, and then your Clair gifts weaken. So the first Clair gift would be Clairsentience, clear feeling. This is one I'm very strong with. This is the most common gift among empaths and highly sensitive people. You feel information. You walk into a room and immediately sense tension. It actually happened to me the other day. Walking into the local coffee shop amongst town, and I could see a lady walking towards me, opening the front door and not looking happy and looked like she was giving out. And as I walked into the coffee place, everyone, the tension, and everyone was just looking at everyone. And the person behind the till was just like frozen. And I literally said out loud in the coffee shop, said, Jesus, what did I just walk into? And they immediately started laughing. And your man behind the till, he was just saying, oh, the one that walked out there, she was kicking off, giving out. I immediately felt that. I wasn't in the coffee shop when it was happening, but I felt it the minute I walked in. And you know, sometimes when you meet someone and instantly you feel either comfortable or uncomfortable, you feel that energy off someone. That's your biomagnetic energy field bouncing off theirs, and your clairsentient feeling telling you they are safe or they're not. Or maybe you know someone is upset even when they're smiling. You can feel that sadness in their energy field. The smile isn't hitting their eyes. You know. You may physically feel heaviness, anxiety, sadness, or excitement around others. You're picking up on their energy. Many people who absorb unspoken energy are actually operating through clairsentience without even realizing. And the challenge is learning the difference between what belongs to you and what belongs to someone else. And a lot of my clients come into me, they are carrying other people's emotions. And they don't have to. It's not their responsibility to mind or take care of anyone else's emotions, only their own. And it's a very common trend in the clients that come into me. The next one would be Claircognizance, which is clear knowing. And I'm fairly strong on this one. People would say, how do you know? I said, I just know. You know, it actually comes handy at home because my kids are like, Mom, do you know where this is? And I would know exactly where it is. I would see a picture, and I don't know, maybe this might be all mothers out there in a family home with kids and a husband, because the husband can never see, well, my husband can never see, find out. But it's like I can see a picture in my mind's eye of exactly where that book is or that jumper. And I will say, it's in the sitting room on the couch. It's in the kitchen on the chair. Now, is that me with a photographic memory? Or am I using my claircognizance? I think it's a bit of a both. So claircognizance is about simply knowing something without understanding it. You also have like a very strong feeling not to take a particular road. You know somebody is going to call before they do. Or one thing that I do is someone will come into my mind and I would think, God, I haven't seen that person in a while, and then suddenly they're there. And you're walking by them on the road and you're like, oh. You meet someone and instantly know you can trust them. And like there's no logical explanation. You know, suddenly you get this energy off someone going, oh my God, I like you. Like you will be a really good friend. The information just simply arrives. Many business leaders, entrepreneurs, and decision makers are claircognizants every day and call it instinct or gut feeling. But it's not. It's their claircognizance, their clear knowing. The next one would be Clairaudience, clear hearing. And this isn't, usually hearing voices as people imagine. It's more commonly, it's receiving words phrases, ideas, or guidance internally. A lot of people ask me, Christine, how do I know it's my intuition? I would say it's the calmest voice internally. It's the one that doesn't doubt. It's the one that just literally drops the guidance in, and it's your ego that comes in and questions it. So you may hear a sentence repeating in your mind, guidance during meditation, a solution to a problem seemingly out of nowhere, or a strong inner voice directing you toward or away from something. But many people dismiss this as their imagination when it may actually be intuitive guidance, because we have never been taught how to trust that guidance coming in. It's a crazy world out there. Society don't want you understanding how powerful you are, that your gifts go beyond the physical form. Can you imagine the whole world if we all just attuned in our sensitive side, embraced our sensitive side, embraced our Clair gifts? Be a total different world out there. Clairvoyance, clear seeing. This is receiving information through images, symbols, dreams, and visual impressions. So I've noticed when I'm really in the zone in my healings, my one-to-ones, I will start seeing images of things, of messages for the client. Give you an example. So one day I had a beautiful lady, her son died, and very recently, and he was fairly sick, and she nursed him and minded him. And as you can imagine, like absolutely inconsolable. And so I tuned into her son, and I asked her son to give me something to tell her that he's okay. And as I worked over her, I started seeing this basketball. I was like, okay, this is random. And then I started seeing flashes of, the 80s, 90s movies, the absolute classics like Back to the Future, Batman, all those type, Star Wars. Kept seeing Star Wars as well. And I kept seeing the images of all those films in my mind, in my sight. I always call it like just, the third eye. I can see it in the back of my mind. And then I started seeing images of a beautiful boat, but it was around Dalkey Island, around Kleiny Bay. But I could see two boys on the boat and a mom and dad. And I'm like, okay, this is a bit strange. And this at the time where I would like doubt what I was coming through, right? I was always kind of doubting it, and I was afraid to kind of say something to a mother that's going through the most unimaginable pain any mother goes through. And I didn't want to say it and to upset her. So I kind of said to my guides, I said, I actually can't say this. I'm afraid I get it wrong. So I was kind of keeping it down. And we finished the session, and I just said, listen, I have something to say, but I'm afraid. So I'm just going to say how it came about, and you just let me know. And I told her what I saw. And she turned around to me and says, that's him for sure. And she says, the basketball image is because he was really, really tall. And when the nurses used to come into the room, they would say, Jesus, you must be a basketball player, which really pissed him off. And he would say to his mom, why do they keep saying I'm a basketball player? It's annoying me. That's one thing. The second thing is the movies, the classical movies. And I said that to her. She says, that's because he was a movie critic. He had a website. He would always do all the classic movies. The next one was the boat. And she says, you've given me my answer. I have his ashes, and I didn't know what to do with his ashes or what he'd want me to do. But we have a boat, and he has one older brother. And I was going to say to them, let's go on the boat and, give out his ashes into the sea. Now, I was even more gobsmacked that all resonated with her. But it gave her so much peace And it gave her so much clarification and answers around what she needed to do and what he wanted. And I always say, it's a beautiful space to be in. What an honor to be able to give someone that peace of mind and trying to take their pain away just a little bit. So clairvoyance, you might have vivid dreams that later make sense. A lot of people have very, very clear dreams, and they would experience visitations from loved ones. Seeing flashes of images during meditation. That's what I was seeing when I was in that space of healing. Visualizing outcomes before they happen. Haha, I have actually another story to tell you, actually. This one's a beaut. So my husband has this ability to just dismiss when I'm trying to tell him, don't do this, because I have an inner knowing. And my car was broke. My car was on the blink. His car was in the garage. I was using my mom's car, and it was an automatic. And I think my husband was afraid to use an automatic. And he had to go up north with my son for a football match. And I kept seeing an image of my son and my husband stuck on the side of a motorway with my car like literally broken down. So I said it to him. I said, you know what? I think you should take my mom's car, the automatic car, because I don't think my car is going to make it. Of course, dismissed it, right? Just dismissed it. So then I was like, okay, fair enough, right? Tried to say it to him again that morning, and he again dismissed it. I was like, do you know what? I've given him 2 warnings. Kind of just like, that's his stuff. And he, sure enough, went up the north with my son, and what happened? Broke down. I could see that happening in my mind's eye. And, okay, I'm going to be honest. Ladies out there, you know the old, I told you so. I had to sit and hold my tongue for at least 5 hours before he was calm enough to say, and I could say, I told you so. Oh, it was the best I told you so. I'm just not going to lie. So clairvoyance as well, receiving symbolic messages rather than literal ones. Like, you're seeing the symbols. And a lot of people on Killiney Beach at the Full Moon Healing Circle, when I'm doing the shamanic journeying, they see symbols, they see the images. You're touching into your clairvoyance gift, which is amazing. Because why? You're stepping away from the chaos and you're coming into a healing space. The more you do, the more that volume dial, that strength, your intuition, your gifts get stronger. So many creative people operate strongly through clairvoyance and they don't even realize it. How do you think an artist puts on canvas what they see or feel in their body? Clairvoyance. There's another 2 that are less common but also equally fascinating. Clairaliens, clear smelling. You suddenly smell a perfume associated with a loved one who has passed, or you smell flowers, smoke, or scents with no physical source. I had a client when I was doing the one to healing. I kept seeing his father and his grandfather in the room, kept feeling them and seeing them and feeling their energy. And when he came out of the healing, he turned around and goes, I kept smelling my granddad's cigar. And I was like, because he was in the room, but he wanted to tell you that he was there. No point me coming from me. So his clairaliens, his clear smelling, his gift developed where he can now smell cigars. He says, every time I come to you, all I smell is cigars. And I'm going, well, I haven't smoked in years. The next one is Clairgustance, clear tasting. Now, I have never experienced this. It's when you experience a taste in your mouth connected to a memory, person, or intuitive message. These gifts tend to be less frequent, but they can occur. I've never experienced that one. But so I know some people that have. So The biggest mistake sensitive people make is assuming intuition should feel dramatic. I think it's all those movies and episodes that we watch where, people are psychic and they're like tunnel vision, honing in, seeing all these things. It's not that. Most of the time, it's really subtle. It feels like a nudge, a feeling, a knowing, a thought that appears from nowhere, or a sensation in the body. Because it feels natural, people dismiss it. Yet often the very thing they ignore turns out to be the thing they knew all along. The truth is, many people are already so intuitive. It's just we haven't been taught or we haven't the knowledge to understand how absolutely incredibly amazing we are in this world. And it's about trusting our intuition, stepping fully into it. I'm not going to lie. Some days I'm like, I can't say that's that person because I don't trust that's the right guidance coming through because number one, I don't want to upset them. Number two, there is the fear of getting it wrong. And number three, are they ready to hear what comes through? I was kind of say that. Is this person ready to hear the truth or what's coming through? But, this journey on this planet, it's not usually about gaining psychic abilities. It's about becoming aware of the abilities you already have and learning how your unique intuition communicates with you. And that's when sensitivity stops feeling like a burden and starts becoming a gift. Everything that I feared when I was younger, now at 45 with my wellness business, are my strengths. I love being able to feel into another person's energy. I love being able to hear the guidance coming in or seeing the guidance in my mind's eye. I love hearing the little whispers of the intuition coming through. They are my strengths. So ask yourself, what is your strength? And the other thing is protection. If you are sensitive and you find yourself absorbing energy, you need to do extra protection. And people are like, how do I do protection? Well, it's not locking yourself away in a house and never going outside the door again. It's doing simple rituals around yourself to protect. The first thing I do is get into my protective bubble. Wake up every morning, call in Archangel Michael 3 times. I imagine him standing in front of me with his big sword. He draws a big, huge bubble all the way around me. It's either gold, white, or a pale blue. And I step into my bubble. And nobody, what they can say, what they can do to me can affect or burst this bubble. And I stay in this bubble every day. Another one is if you're about to walk into a room, imagine the whole room being illuminated with golden light. It means everything's going to be okay. You're walking the golden path. You are protected. It's every time you're walking down into your house, any building, it's literally the walls are gold, the floor is gold, the ceiling's gold. The protective bubble, there's also the protective shawl or shroud. Feel it wrapping around you, the hood going over your head. I am energetically protected. There's also crystals, tourmaline, black obsidian, any of them types of crystals for protection. Wear them in your bra. The joke in our house is when I take my bra off, all you hear is boom, 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 about 10 bloody crystals fall out of it. Anything for the protection, ladies, anything for protection. And then it's a simple one, actually, is if you're talking to someone and they're starting to emotionally overload you, cross your hands and cross your legs. You're protecting your energy field. instant protection. But also, it's really important to release any energy, shed any energy that may have clung to your auric field. So, sea swimming is really good. It cleanses and purifies your energy field. Grounding, so important. Release that energy into the earth. Even like showers. What I do is I have pink Himalayan salt and I have the coconut oil. I mix them together and use it as a body scrub and scrub my whole body. The ions in the salt, in that Himalayan pink salt, is cleansing and clearing my energy field when I don't want a bath. I do that every morning and every evening, particularly coming off the beach for the full moon healing circle. If you think about it, if you're holding space for nearly 2,000 people on the beach, that's some amount of energy you're working with. So that needs to be released. So that's what I do every full moon. Jump into the shower, cleanse my auric fields before I hop into bed. So there's many things that you can do to protect your energy. And it is, your energy is precious. You're not sensitive. You're just magic. Looking back now, I'm grateful I never succeeded in becoming less sensitive, because my sensitivity becomes the foundation of everything I've done. It's helped me understand clients. It's helped me facilitate healings. It helps me connect deeply with people. It helps me see beyond the masks people wear. And that's obviously my Scorpio tendencies as well. I can see through the masks. And perhaps the very thing you're being trying to fix about yourself is actually one of your greatest gifts too. Maybe you're not too sensitive. Maybe you're simply spent your life receiving information that others haven't yet learned how to notice. So if someone once told you that you were too sensitive, too emotional, too intuitive, or too much, I'd like you to consider something. What if simply they didn't understand your gift? What if your sensitivity isn't something to overcome? What if it's something to honor, something to understand, something to trust? Because when sensitivity is supported by boundaries, self-awareness, and grounding, it becomes one of the most powerful gifts a person can possess. You are magic. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time, trust what you feel, honor your inner wisdom, and remember your sensitivity was never your weakness. It may just be your superpower. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon. If today's episode resonated with you and you'd like support on your own journey, I'd love to work with you. You can book a one-to-one healing session with me where we'll explore what's happening beneath the surface, clear what no longer serves you, and help you reconnect with your own inner wisdom and power. You can find all the details and booking information through my website and social media channels, and I'm available in-person appointments and online. Thank you for spending the time with me today. Until next time, trust what you feel, honor your sensitivity, and remember that what you once thought was your weakness may actually be one of your greatest gifts. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.